Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and it is Sunday night, Monday morning, November the 8th. Oh, no, today's the 11th, actually. Excuse me, this is Veterans Day, actually. So happy Veterans Day to my granddaughter, to my brothers, and other folks that
Happy Veterans Day.
and Breaking Dawn says Happy Veterans Day. She's heading upstairs where it's more warmer. And are you gonna hang out in the background?
No.
No, she's going to bed. Okay, I'm here by myself. But
I'll
got
hang out in the chat.
okay. But anyway, I greet you with love and honor and blessings of the infinite Creator, and I continue to pray every day that each and every one of you continue to accept and receive the blessings from the universe. And so, with that, hey, Chloe, how are you? Well, she's just not going to be down here. She's going to be upstairs. Anyway, probably lurking in the background. Um, this particular topic here, and I was watching an old movie that's on Comet right now called Pandemonium, and I got to thinking, and this is a perfect topic. This topic came up a few days ago, and I'm late doing the video. We've been busy cutting firewood and had to return a trailer up to some friends of ours in another town, and things that just we had some business we had to take care of. But anyway, so this topic is a little late in me fulfilling my duties and trying to keep up with some topics for everyone, because it seems to be important that there are things out there that on a daily basis people are being drawn in different directions and things. And one of the things in listening and trying to listen to certain things, it grates on me. Now, the reason I bring this up because as an actor and as a director, as a puppeteer and a storyteller, I used to teach back in the day when I was a younger man. I used to teach voice, and I taught uh, um, public speaking, and especially extemporaneous speaking. Now I'm bumbling around a little bit right now, but let me get my feet on right. And see, there she is, Miss Breaking Dawn in the background there, hanging out with us. So, but one of the things that's most important in trying to get your point across, and that thus the title of this particular video, but it has a lot to do with frequency and things. So don't just think that it's, well, he's just going to talk about different tones of voice. It is important, but the tone of voice and how you wish to put how you wish to extend your thoughts to other people. If you use the wrong tones of voice and you use the inflection on words in an incorrect way, then you're going to be misunderstood right off the bat. If your tone is such that there's a little bit of anger in your voice and you're like, well, I really don't know why you're answering this question. It doesn't seem like appropriate to me. Now, if they can hear you or see you or whatever, you're going to get this different vibe too. But your tone of voice and how you react to something, somebody says, so, um, you know, how about them Packers tonight? They won or lost. Well, I don't know. Who gives a crap about the Packers? Well, the tone of voice. All right, that's a lousy example. But to the point, though, there are many people who don't listen to themselves, and sometimes it's a good thing to just record yourself. Now, having been in the recording industry and as a disc jockey back in the old days and being on AM and FM radio on several stations down here in the South. Many of them are defunct now because now they just transmit stuff off the bird. It all comes in from a central location. So us old DJs are a dying breed. Spinning records. I was doing DJs back when there were 45 records. And you had two turntables on one side and a turntable on the other, and you had all these carts and stuff. It ain't the same these days, but where everything now is in on DVDs or CDs. You pop them in, and program the things and they play. It's just not the same. But anyway, but back then, we were taught how to read the news. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And if you start out with something, that's warm and mustering and sort of, back in my day, growing up in the '60s, Walter Cronkite. He was the gentleman that you listened to in the evening, and his tone of voice was very much, he's one of the ones that announces, when President Kennedy got shot you know, and at least to me, it was the Walter Cronkite's uh, um, live interpretation of what was going on at the time through the feed and how everyone reacted at the time. But anyway, tone of voice and how the news was read. So if you go to journalism class, a lot of times I've heard some of these kids and older folks too that come out of these classes and they don't know how to read script. They don't know how to read the news. Now, what has this got to do with your tone of voice and speaking with people? Well, because there are trainers out there who will teach you how to use tone of voice to your advantage. And so it's how to be more convincing with what you're saying. And so if you use your tone of voice incorrectly, you're just going to piss a bunch of people off. Let's just be play plain and straight out with it. But if you use your tone of voice in such a way, um, if you understand the feeling that you feel and you allow that feeling to come through. Now, if I'm angry, it's going to turn up. It's going to come out of me. But at the same time, I want to be calm and considerate and everything. So, and I've had a lot of training in this myself, so that you come across with a calm and training voice. Now, if I were portraying a character in a play or something, and the character had to be gruff or had to be very mealy mouthed or something like this, and that very kind and slow or whatever. So, but you have to think about what those characters are, and in doing so, you think about the inflection of how some of these characters may react. So that's how to become a, a, a good character actor. And of all the things that I could do back in the day was being a character actor is what, if they needed me to do an extra part, there were times when down in Cairo one time, some friends of mine, um, they were doing a play down there and they called me up at the last minute and they said, "Hey, our guy that plays the preacher, he's in like two scenes. He can't be there. Can you come do it?" And I was like, "Well, okay." They said, "Well, we'll send you a couple of pages of the script. Read over it and you'll see where your speech is in there and you'll be able to tell by the instructions what you need to do." And so my part was to play a preacher. So basically I had to walk into a church and there was a eulogy going on and I stepped up to the pulpit and I read these things. But they said that the preacher, the guy that was the preacher before me, and I bring this up for this reason, it was all about the inflection. And if I knew where the paper was, I would read it to you. But it's basically, John Doe was a really good fella, and all of the ladies down at the salon thought so, you know. And so the people in the cast were going, you were getting laughs by how you read that. And the other guy who's been doing the show all along, I just filled in for the last Sunday was the deal. And got a free meal afterwards and cast party and see my friends again. But to the point they were like, "Why didn't you come do this the whole time? You were hilarious. What did you do different?" And I said, I just read things differently. And I read through the script and I read it out loud different ways. And I thought, now, which sounds funnier to me? Reading it out loud. And so I did. So it was just one performance, but all the cast was going, "Man, that was freaking hilarious." The cast was cracking up when they were supposed to be sobbing. They were crying with, laughter because of the way I read it. So, so anyway, inflection has a lot to do with it. So you listen to some of these politicians talk. And it's their inflection sometimes that drives me nuts. After 5 minutes, if I could make it that far, maybe it might be only 2 minutes of listening to some of these people. I just go, "Hey, vey, I cannot listen any longer, please. Can we move on to another?" It's like, "Hey, hey, you heard you." I mean, you better off with the chef on the Muppets. But he big heard the emergency. You know who I'm talking about, right? Work, 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 work. The two characters. Anyway, but to the point though, it says I get that more than I would get some of these politicians and these other people. It's their tone of voice. It's how they approach their speech to you. So some of these people are not trained at all. And so, in trying to understand them, believe them, or like, oh my God, that person's voice is grating. It's driving me insane. So, if you want to be a better person at it, take something and read it several different ways aloud. The resonance in your voice is important. So, if you want to imply anger, then you employ anger. You put a little force into it. If you're trying to be meek, you bring it back. A lot of different techniques and things, and this is not a video so much about techniques, is how important it is for you to understand that each one of those inflections and how you use it has a resonance and a frequency to it. So if you can use anger frequencies to get your point across, you can get your point across without actually using the anger frequency. You get close to it. So people say, well, he's being forceful. But is he being angry? That's the person who's listening. But if you're listening to what's being read or whatever the story may be, and I love listening to the old radio back in the late 30s, 40s, 50s, and even into the 60s. There's still BBC radio is still very popular. Overseas. I still listen to some of the BBC, and some of the programs are just absolutely hilarious. And it's their inflections. These folk dream up these stories and they tell them to you over the radio, and you paint the picture in your head. Bob, here's some coffee. I see I'm doing a little bit of lagging here with the computer. So here's to Bob the AI. Now, a lot of folks would understand that, so what does this have to do with the grand scheme of things? Well, if everybody in the planet starts using a better frequency when they speak to one another, when they speak their intentions through their frequency, and through the correct intonations with their voice, so that people on the other end are going, wow, I really understand that person. And it's like, whereas if you don't understand or practice how you use your intonation, then the person on the other end might not be hearing you correctly. And I had this problem for years, and I'm still kind of working on it, but to the point though, and I seriously doubt there's ever really a perfection to it. I There are some older actors and public speakers who really have a good grasp of this, and there are folks who applaud me for some of my being able, because I don't have a script or anything. It's just an idea that's been tossed around in my head, and I formulate it and try to put it in a way that's, I hate to use the word entertaining, but at least, you folks sit around like you, Chloe, and to try to understand a different point of view. Now, but to the tonality of things and the resonance. So moving this more into the spiritual realm with the as far as shamanic basics. So we first learn how to speak to one another in proper ways, so that we make sure we get our point across. In other words, the person on the other end, it's going to be very difficult for them to misinterpret what we say, because we speak in more of a positive tone. We use positive words, and we speak with a resonance and a frequency that don't piss them off. So if they're like, well, I don't really agree with your point of view, but if you put it out there in such a way, they go, well, really, you don't leave too much for them to argue about. You get your point across in such a way that it's like, well, holy crap. I actually had to stop and listen to him for a minute. I still believe what I believe, but I did, it didn't piss him off. Okay. So it's like the reaction, what reaction do you wish to receive? So I was talking with some friends of mine the other day when I should have been doing this video, but I had this conversation and I said, remember when I used to we worked in the same plant together for many years, and we remained to be friends all these years later. They let me use their trailer to go pick up Breaking Dawn in Florida and bring her up here. And we took the trailer back as where we were. And so sitting around and having a good time and visiting, and, um, uh, but it was, remember how many people were in the plant, and I said, yeah. And I had looked over at my friend and I said, you know how many people that we had to work with every day, and every time you went into a different cell, like parts of the plant made Ford products, and part of the plant made Nissan products, and part of the plant made Honda products, and part of the plant made Chrysler products. We made spark plug wire sets for all the brand new and older, but for all the brand new those models I just mentioned. But anyway, so there were 700 and plus people, and in between two plants, and we were always mixing with different people. So one of the things that we both agreed on, I said, way back when, I said I had to understand that when I walked into one of these cells, one person may feel this way. So what I learned was to view myself through their eyes. So, in other words, I'd come over and go, so how's that new part working for you? How my tone of voice and how I acted with this group over here, but I could move 30 feet in the plant and use a different tone of voice with these people and get the same point across, or, get a good reaction. And so, um, it wasn't that I was trying to confuse the issue or anything like that, but I learned how important it was to use the right frame of mind, the right words, not use certain words with other people, because some people, it's not that I had to dumb down, but I did. And there were some people who could understand things on a much higher mechanical level or whatever, and we could have a chat about how the workings of, because some of these machines were very complicated. So there's lots of air going in and out and things going this and that and stuff going up and down, and I mean like several times a minute, and so uh, yeah, these things are putting out. But anyway, so the learning process, though, of being able to speak to people and be able to make it, without everybody being mad at you every time. So it does take practice. It is extremely useful, regardless of where you go or what you do, regardless of the profession that you're in. It works around your kids. It works around your relatives. It works around your neighbors and your friends and people that you meet. Anybody that you meet, this is absolutely positively right up there with the things you need to know and learn. Now, for those of you who believe in aliens and beings from other dimensions and things, think about your tone of voice. Think about how you resonate. Now, whether or not you say, well, I'll never meet a being from another planet, but what if you did? How would you put yourself across to this being? What would your resonance be? And you go, what the hell are you telling me this for? Well, because what if it happens? But the thing is that you must think beyond certain realms. In other words, how would somebody else view me? I think I look like this. And looking in the mirror kind of helps when you practice. But what works better is to have somebody that you practice with and say, okay, I'm trying to get my point across. How do you view me? What is my tone of voice? Am I being calm enough? Am I being too hyper? Am I being too loud? Am I being too soft? Am I emphasizing words in ways that sound a little creepy to you? I'm like, well, no, please don't do that. It's grating on my nerves. So you have to be careful with that. Hello, Jody, as well. Chloe, you still hanging out? Um, Blessings to y'all. But now to the point of why does this matter? How do you want to communicate in the rest of the universe? Okay, so for the last 20 minutes, I've been talking about how we communicate with each other, our tone of voice, our pitch, certain things. And I'm going to try to, I'm doing this cold, but it's my tax bill. And I'm going to, there, as a, when they teach you to read a script or the news or a commercial or something like that, they'll hand you a piece of paper and say, okay, now read this a couple of times, but don't read it the same way twice. So now this is my tax bill, and I'm just going to read some of this stuff up here at the top. And I'm going to give you an example before I go on to the next point of this. Okay. Oh, those glasses ain't near strong enough. Okay, here we go. A quick little paragraph. Certain persons are eligible for certain homestead exemptions for ad valorem taxation, in addition to regular homestead exemption authorized for all homeowners. Certain elderly persons are entitled to additional exemptions. The full law relating to each exemption must be referred to in order to determine eligibility. Now, okay, that's one way. Now, another way, certain persons are eligible for certain homestead exemptions from ad valorem taxation, in addition to the regular homestead exemption authorized for homeowners. Certain elderly persons are entitled to additional exemptions. The law relating to each exemption must be referred to in order to determine eligibility. So you heard me change the emphasis on the words. So certain people, and just reading these few lines, and I won't bore you with any more, but to the point though, take a paragraph and read it cold and read it aloud. That's the only way you're going to learn. But as you learn to change and focus um, your intention, basically, because when I read through this two or three times, there are a couple of other ways I could emphasize elderly and homestead and exemption, So, but if you listen to different commercials, how different people read copy, meaning the commercial, the copy, they're reading it out, somewhere, and you hear the audio voice, like on radio, that's all copy. Somebody's reading copy. Okay, so think about how many different voices there are, meaning different people, different DJs, and how differently they read the news. How does it affect you? Now, okay, enough of this 3D kind of thing. Okay, it's you and me and the rest of us when we're speaking. But that has a large difference and influence on the grand scheme of things. Because as we change our own personal resonance and we interact with other people, other beings, but we'll stick with people right now. And we could go with different levels of people, but just bear with me. So, from people, and we speak back and forth to each other, if we're making good communication, if we're speaking with intention, and we're being heard and the resonance is being picked up by those people that we're around, then we're sharing this experience. And as other people pick this up and start speaking more in the negative, and I could have said, as more people learn how to not be so damn negative all the damn time, So, I mean, there's just ways that, when you start understanding that you wish to speak in a positive way, even about negative stuff, and your tone of voice and how you use your inflection to go with it, how what the influence that can have just in speaking with people in the line in the grocery store. Why does this matter? The more we spread this out, the more it is contagious, and it's a hum across the entire planet. It's already being heard. But now, as we learn how to control our own frequencies, as we learn how to control our own not only thought patterns, but you have to think about this a little bit before it comes out this hole right here. You know what I'm saying? So before I would like really be off somewhere at left field, and then I realized later on, oh crap, there were 20 other ways I could have said that wouldn't have sounded so negatively. You know what I mean? Or it would have come across differently, hope possibly more positively. So now what do? Okay, so as the thought kind of comes through, you give it a second. There's sort of a limbo between up here where the thought's going in the mouth, and you sort of learn how to run it through a filter. So if something's going to sound really just, wait a minute, then slow down and pause and give it just a little bit of pause in your reflection and say, well, yeah, as I ponder this, as I think about this, so that's your chance to take a pause in your thought. You say a word like, as I've thought about this many times, that's allowing yourself to process what you were fixing to shove out your mouth before you thought about it. So you throw in a little phrase in there, and that's actually the trick to let whoever you're talking to, you're actually thinking, I was going to say this thing, but I decided I would say this little pause in here, meaning it's filler, okay? And it's the truth. You've thought about this many times. It's not like you're trying to create a lie, but you're creating a little filler in there so your brain has a chance to filter what you're about to say. Okay, keeps you from. It helps to keep you from sticking your big foot in your mouth before you can get it out. So it's a little pause ish thingy in there. However you would. I don't really know if there's a name because um, I've not had anybody else discuss it. It's a technique that I've learned on my own through all these years of being extemporaneous speaking. When I was doing, when I went back to school to get my CAD drafting, I was in VICA competition, which is Vocational Industrial Clubs of America. And I won the gold Olympics for the state of Georgia, and I went to the nationals in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and placed seventh in the nation. And considering how many people that were there, seventh, and there was like 0.04. I mean, there was we were really close, the last four of us in there. But anyway, so many of the things that I've learned, I've just been very effective, and I actually have sort of some of these trophies to show for it if somebody ever were to ask about it. Hey, 65 Starlight, blessings back. But anyway, to this, it's not about me about this, but I do have experiences in this is the reason I bring it up. So I'm not just somebody that's like, well, I've never done anything. No, I've got several awards and so forth because of this. So, but anyway, there are people who are like, well, where's your credentials? Well, okay, I'll pull out my gold medals sometime if you really want to see it. But okay. But to the point though, what's most important is you being able to control what you say and how you learn how to say it within yourself. Practice in front of a mirror, but what you need to always think of is what does that person hear? Not what you think you're saying. No, what does that person hear? Watch their face, watch their eyes, watch their reaction. And you go, well, maybe I said that wrong, Maybe there's some words that I shouldn't have used there. Maybe I could have phrased that differently because they're like, what? Or surprise. You start to learn to figure it out. The big thing is that you pay attention. As you start using, as I've discussed in other videos, the conscious brain and the subconscious brain at the same time, and that you start bridging the gap and start using a little bit of this third eye thing here and your other senses, you become aware of your frequency that you're putting out to somebody else. They may be picking it up, but you got to watch it. You got to pay attention. If you're just boasting and talking and stuff and really not paying attention to what other people's reactions are, that's how you learn as a storyteller. Is my story getting across to my audience? So you have to watch your audience. And if something ain't going over too well, then you pep it up or you slow it down and you do something. Okay. If you're any good. And so over the years, I've been quite effective in that. And I thank the spirits for the opportunity to be able to tell these wonderful stories that I've told over the years, Native American stories and legends and so forth. So, and passing along traditions and things. So now, when you become in control of your own emotions and your own frequency, your own choice of words, your own vibration as you speak and convey who and what you wish to, to do. And if you're just talking with your kids after school, your tone, whether or not you're actually engaged, and sometimes the best thing to do is like, honey, I really want to listen to you, but I got something on my mind. Tell me a little bit about this, and I'll listen right now for 2 minutes. But then I got some things but later on we can sit down and you can fill me in, okay? So sometimes in our conversations, you just look at whoever it is and go, son or daughter, family member, listen, I just don't have time now. I'm busy. And you don't think about what's coming out of your mouth. And you really are busy. Whatever you may be doing may be really damned important. But at the same time, you can also approach it in such a way. Listen, I've got something that's really busy right now. So here's my point. It takes you can put out more negative energy in a short amount of time, where just a minute or two longer will leave things in a more calm, harmonious way for everybody. So if you go in and go, I'm really busy and I really can't do this right now, the other person's going to go, well, okay, if that's the way you feel, they're going to pick that up. So if you say, look, with a calm voice, look, I'm really busy right now, and I really want to sit down and talk to you, but I'm distracted, and I would really like to listen to you. Can you give give me 2 minutes and tell me a little bit of your story, and we'll get back to it later? And instead of going, I don't have time for this, rah, 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 well, ma, and yeah, and yeah, and so you spend the same amount of time, but in a frenzy. And instead of yes, you're really busy, but which do you want to come out of a confrontation, whether it be a child or a relative or the dog? I don't have time with you right now, dog. And the dog's going, but come on. If you pet the dog for a couple of minutes, both of you calm the heck down. The dog's more calmer. You're more calmer. You can tell the dog, as I've done, as many of us have done, listen, not right now. I'm really busy. I got a phone call. I got some letters I got to type out. We're going to go out for just a minute, but then we got to come right back in. But I'll take you out later, and speak calmly. And things listen in a way that is much more effective than not now. Now go in the other room, because you're pushing, you're being negative, you're putting out the wrong frequency out that you really want. I mean, so you change your point of view a little bit, and you change and say, well, wait a minute, I got the right to say anything I want to. There was a friend of ours that threw a story and something else I won't go into, but one of the spouses was having an argument with the other one of the spouses, and said a couple of outrageous things in the heat of an argument. And one spouse said to the other, "What about the child in the room?" And the other spouse said, "F the child in the room. Well, I'm the adult, I can say what I want." Now, I'm appalled by that, but in a way, I've kind of said that myself in way past days. Well, listen, I can say any goddamn thing I want in my house. It's my house, rah, 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 rah. But should you? That's more the point. Can you be grown up enough to go, wait a minute, maybe I shouldn't use this tone of voice? Maybe I don't have to scream and holler. Maybe I'm pissed off at you because we're both pissed off for whatever reason, and it's rubbing the two of us raw. And I can't tone my voice down. You won't tone your voice down. And the next thing you know, you're toning my tone, and we're freaking fighting and clawing each other's eyes out. Get out of the house. Go visit your ma. That's kind of sort of what happened. Wait a minute now. That can all be handled differently. If two folks are having kind of strange days, you just look at each other and go, I'm kind of feeling a little edgy. I'm going to go over here in the corner so I don't offend you, you know, and, I love you, and let me go get rid of my whatever this edginess is. I love you, my darling. Give me a hug and a kiss. But I'm going to go over here in the corner because I don't want to be edgy and rub off on you. When you are able to notice that within yourself, and to any person, be it a spouse or a companion, doesn't matter, children, whatever, and you say, well, I don't have to tell them how I feel. Well, if you're going to be like Grumpy Gus, then no wonder you may have trouble. Just saying. But is that what you wish to portray? Is that your intention? So, in the grand scheme of all of this, we have to ask ourselves questions. Do you, are you trying to get higher on the scale and to be becoming a shaman, to becoming a higher spiritual being? Then you must take control of these things. They must become important to you. You must understand what your tone of voice is. Now, I know there are a lot of times when I apologize more than I should, but I want to make sure that the other person understands that when I say this, I'm not like picking on you or what. No, these are like instructions or something. But I've been around so many people that everybody will react differently to what's being said. So I have to double check and go, is this okay? Okay, we're cool. I don't think about it anymore. I move on to the next thing. But to the point, though, we must always check, because what I say and how I say it may not be what the other person's actually hearing. Now, I say person. Now, let's step this up a notch. We wish to be in contact with higher beings. We wish to be in contact with our higher selves. If we can't talk to our own selves with the right tone of voice, with the right frequency, with the right, you know, intention, then how are we going to reach anywhere? Our frequency's not going to be right. It's going to be off. So what do? We start off with the basics. We start off with, how am I sounding to the outside world? Do I sound grumpy? I don't know. Turn on a recorder and just talk about something, or put it in the room and then listen back to it and go, son of a bitch, I'm a grumpy ass mo. Oh my God, please. I sound like that? Yeah. So, but when you become aware of it yourself, then you find that you don't get yourself in those kind of positions anymore. Well, I kind of lost it over there. I raised my voice when I got over. Yeah. But when you realize it, when you become aware of it, which is that subconscious into conscious, focusing in on what you're actually speaking and how you're saying it, now you're starting to become a whole person. You are in control of at least your own situation. Maybe not anybody else's, doesn't matter, but you're in control of you. your thought process, how it's coming out. You're paying attention to how it may be heard and or interpreted. So if you can keep from starting an argument, then do so. Well, I don't know. I really want to get my point across. Well, then try to figure out how to do it without being a grumpy grump, you know? No, wait a minute. And I'm telling you, if everybody started paying more attention to how they speak to one another within rooms, within classes, church, I mean, pay attention to what you're saying and how you're saying it. Please. Because when we become aware of it, that's going to change the that changes the frequency around us. So if and I used to be very bad. Oh God, just spout shit off all the time. I sort of do that now. See, I just use the S word. I try not to cuss, really I do. Because I don't think it's necessary. But there are times when, yeah, there you go. But at the same time, I want to be in control. So using F words and S words and okay, once in a while, but I don't feel that it's necessary. Yeah, I'll use them. I cuss like a drunken sailor, really bad. I grew up on a carnival where every 3 words was a cuss word. We used to link cuss words together in sentences that made sense. By the time I was 14, I could cuss better than any sailor. Trust me. But to the point, though, I had some really good carnies to teach me how to cuss. But to the point, though, it's not necessary. It portrays the wrong thing. And for years, I was that guy that was, well, screw this, F that, and blah, blah, blah. No, 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 no. Wrong impression. Wrong impression. Wrong frequency. Wrong, all on so many levels from what I actually felt inside. So I would say something that would come out and I would hear it and go, well, that's not really how I feel, is it? Too late, done said it, they done heard it, they done picked it up, and now we're in some kind of vibrational frequency war here because I shouldn't have said it the way I did, and they sure heard it and reacted even more than I thought. Holy crap, here we go. We want to speak to other beings on different levels. Don't you think we need to start on this level first before we like trying to jump into the other? Because when we jump into the other realms, we're carrying this frequency with us that's in here. So if this frequency ain't quite tuned right, if you don't mind me saying, and that we still need a little work on our sort of in control, and being in control of how we say it, what we say it, and where we're not, um, am I using my conscious and my subconscious? Are the two of them kind of merging on this one? Am I, Bob? Let's have some coffee. We love you, Bob. Thank you. But am I allowing little pauses in my conversation if I'm speaking out loud? Am I allowing little pauses in my conversation so I make sure that nothing stupid comes flying out this hole right here? You know what I mean? And which used to get me in trouble a lot back in the day. And I'm telling you, if somebody says, well, you just don't, oh, listen, I was damn near in fist fights over conversations. It was just because I just had this lousy attitude and how I portrayed it. Shame on me. And so when I changed this attitude and how I spoke with people, lots of other things changed. So I listen to other people talk sometimes and I go, you know, sometimes they don't put enough emphasis on certain things that actually should be emphasized. And then at the same point, they put too much emphasis on a subject they only know a little bit about, but they're trying to sound like being impressive. And well, I really know about this. Do you really? How much do you really? Well, are you? Let's bring this truth. Okay, so someone's had a new experience, and they have honestly kind of moved up a notch. All those notches are theoretical and how they are in the real world. But for every time they say, "Well, I kind of understand something a little differently," then they feel more empowered. But at the same time, some folk, not everybody, will take that and say, well, now I know what I'm talking about on all levels. Man, you just learned about that one. Back up a little bit, calm down, let that frequency settle. You got to let that information kind of not necessarily fester, but it's got to hatch. So peace can be found. Yes, I do want to be understood. It's so important to me. Blessings. I want to be understood. I want to understand others too. Know where we stand. Exactly. Thank you, 65 Starlight. My intention. And so, and it's pleasing to be able to hear that other people feel the same way. So we are not alone in this, my friends. We are the league of like-minded beings, and it is having an effect. I've heard other folks are having the same type of topic in their discussions. In that, listen, you know, I can tell you I think you're full of shit by not necessarily saying it that way, you know, or I can say, actually, okay, that may be the prime example. You're full of shit. Or I can say, you know, my friend, I've listened to you and I just think you're full of shit. You know, which is going to piss you off more? And the second one would be like, oh, really? Well, okay. You know, the first way is going to piss me off right off the bat because that's the energy and that's the the frequency that's being put forth. So anything that we do, but I want you to understand though, learning that on this level is how we're learning to deal with the next level, how we move into the next level. I had an experience the other day, and I've been tossing around whether or not I should even discuss it. But after having this, I think I can put a little thing in there. The other day, there are some times that I feel like I'm an avatar in another place. And there are some times it feels like I'm absolutely knocked out, but I'm in that dream state, not quite astral, but similar. But I'm in this world, but I'm actually someplace else at the same time. And so the other day, I've had many of these, as Breaking Dawn can attest to. And I haven't discussed them because it's kind of like, well, you know, it's a little bit out there. But it seems as though I was chosen on another realm to be a being from a lonely little planet down here on Earth to be a spokesperson for peace within the galaxy. And because I have no political affiliations other than I'm an Earthling, and it's because that my beliefs are simple. I believe in the universal law: do no harm. And you know, but I also stand up and say, hey, listen, you know, I will protect my right to do no harm, but if you're going to do the first harm, I will defend myself. So it doesn't mean I have to be a chicken shit. It just means I'm not going to attack you, but I'll defend. You want to fight, you better make sure you want one. You know, but to the point though, I would rather speak about peace. I would much rather so in this avatar sense, and it happened simultaneously. I was there and I was also here giving a speech to thousands of beings in a very large auditorium about the fact that the choice is up to each and every one of us and from 1 second to the next, regardless of the galaxy, regardless of where we are in the universe, in multi dimensions, different types of beings, different types of cultures. It does not matter. What matters is the choice we make from this point forward. Do we choose to fight or do we choose to have peace? Do we choose to put our guns down and have serious conversation, or we choose to continue to slaughter one another? It's our choice. Sometimes our customs are out of whack. Sometimes our customs say we should an eye for an eye. Maybe after enough eyes are poked out and everybody's stumbling around in the blind as being blind as bats, they'll quit poking and they'll be poking each other in the ear next. So it's like, stop it. So an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth and blah, blah, blah. Somebody somewhere needs to stop. It's like the Hatfields and McCoys. Stop the fighting. So in this avatar and also being here is a very strange experience. But I'm always thinking in terms of, what do these other beings think of this conversation? Am I portraying honestly peace? And so I was chosen for this mission a while back and I accepted graciously. Now, can I honestly tell you that it's going on? No. It damn sure seems like it's going on at the same time. That's all I can tell you. But it's so, and I feel very honored, humbled by the fact that someone would ask me to be a spokesperson for other beings for peace. To come on, and how can I convince you that somebody somewhere has got to stop the cycle? We can start a new one at any point in time. It's up to you. Every being in the universe has this opportunity. Which way do you want to go? What frequency do you want to be? What is your intent? What do you want to portray to other people? You can say, listen, we'll be friends, but pull a gun, you might just get chopped off. Just warning you, hey, you know. But hey, let's shake, let's have a good time, let's talk, let's chat, let's share what we can. But at the same point, there, you do what you want to do on your world, we'll do what we want to do on our world. But we're going to agree to get along. But now, with the understanding that if you're forcing slavery or any kind of, if you're forcing anything, then we need to have a little chat. That doesn't mean I'm going to go to war with you right away, but I'm going to sit down and try to negotiate slavery, for example. It's still going on this planet, on other planets. There are people on this planet who are disappearing every year. Millions of people disappear, never seen again. Don't know where they went. Don't, just bye bye. Are they being eaten? Are they, are vampires taking them off? Are they becoming werewolves and moving into the country? Are they being beamed up into spaceships? Who knows? But everybody agrees folks are disappearing. And it's weird. That's agreeable all over the planet. So are they going to other planets? Well, there's a lot of evidence that could very well say that, you know, humans are tasty on other planets, and also that our DNA and some of our special talents as human beings are well prized as slaves in other places in this world or in this universe. Do I believe it? It makes me kind of wonder more that it does exist because so many people do disappear. And from the things I've already seen in the sky, to say, hey, listen, it might be true. And maybe we should stop this. Maybe, we need to defend ourselves more. Don't ask me how. But to the point that being mentally aware of stuff is one thing, being mentally aware that this could actually take place and being prepared in whatever we can. And so be spiritually, because in my opinion, the more that I have become spiritually aware and connected with my own spirit guide, the more I am protected. Call it my guardian angel, however you want to discuss it within your own realm. But the more I stay in contact with the universe, with my own spirit guide, the more it seems like they warn me of stuff. Be careful over here, watch this over there, read this, watch this, listen to this, learn this, understand this, whatever it is. So that in that, then I can say, then as I learn these things and get these updates, I wish to make sure that I continue to portray this in the best way that I can. So that other people say, listen, you have your own frequency, you've got your own point of view. But if we can at least agree on, let's be peaceable about it. Let's have conversation. We can disagree, but we just don't have to scream and holler at each other. Sure, we can disagree. all you want to. But let's have the debate. But let's let's be civil about it, if you will. And on so many levels and so many dimensions, um, people or beings or whatever are not being civil to one another. Well, I'm better than you, so you should listen to me. And if you don't agree with my point of view, oh, stop it. You know, bzz, bzz, you might be zapped into another dimension. Hush that best, Hey there, Just Spitfire. How are you? Open minded. Yeah. Thank you, 65 Starlight. Um, yeah. So peace can be found. Yep. Laughing does a lot of good. It's a lot of good energy. But to the point though, I'm always saying, but to the point, there are many people that still believe that this is unimportant. They still think, wow, what I'm talking about doesn't make any sense, or it doesn't really matter in this grand scheme of things. And that's one of the things that I'm like a little forlorn about, if you will, because it's like, guys, wait a minute. You want to be spiritual people, but the way you read your Bible is like, hellfire and brimstone and blah, blah, blah. Wait. Back up here. Let's reread that same passage with compassion. Can you do that? Can you read certain passages of the Bible with compassion, or must you put that fire and brimstone in it? Some preachers and people, they're, Southern Baptists, oh my God, they just, it's going to be read like this and that's it. Even little granny ladies kind of get, their voices in a tangle. It's interesting. But so we've learned certain speech patterns. We've picked them up for ourselves. And unless we stop and listen to ourselves and give ourselves that little pause, what's the other person hearing? Please ask them. Now, I said this, but what do you think I said? Well, what do you mean? Well, how did you hear it? What are you talking about? Find somebody, practice. Trust me, as an actor, as an actress, and if you don't think that being on this planet ain't being an actor in a play, oh come on. There's so many scenarios in my own life. I was telling some of the true stories to Breaking Dawn, and it's like I'm literally stuff's going on. I'm like, crap, I'm in a movie. I tell these stories that they really happen. They're very true. This is my life story. And people say, crap, that should have been a story. You hang out with me, you hear all kinds of, but I don't like telling. I'll tell you when it's a story, like, yeah, now this is a fakie. There's some, nah, but if I say, no, this really happened, it really happened. And I try not to embellish. But at the same time, there's some of this crap that's happened to me. I really may want to make sure you understand. Holy crap. This was a holy crap moment. There's that too. So you see how I did that right there? Kind of put emphasis on sometimes some of the things that I talk about are like really holy crap moments. That was that it's both actually true, but I'm showing you with the inflection of my voice how I can get certain things across. I didn't have to scream at you for you to understand. He really meant a holy crap moment. You got it. So I'm listening. The in trying to like kind of sort of sum this up a little bit, it's all about us inside, the choices that we make. And the more we learn how to use these tricks of the trade, if you will, in speech, and because it changes your thought pattern. And when it changes your thought pattern, it's changing your overall frequency. And when it's changing your overall frequency, then your aura is changing. And then it's progressive. So you say, well, does this really freaking matter? Have you tried it? Have you had any success with it? I'm watching this show, called The Secret that came out years ago. And it was all people talking about how they learned how to speak positively, how to think more positively. This is the secret. This is it. What I'm talking about right now. This is what they talked about. This is the shaman basics. This is what it is to just be a true human being, or to be a true being, not just human. But in at least in this realm, most of us, or a lot of us, are human hybrids. Yes, but to the point, when we leave this realm, when fourth dimension, fifth dimension, however else, our spirit, our being needs to be able to speak in these other frequencies so that other beings know that our true intentions. If we have malice in our heart, if we have greed in our heart, if we have fear, you know. Now, there's a good, healthy, like, be careful, but then there's, oh my God, everything's going to kill me. Yeah, maybe not. You know, it may be a little bit more embarrassing, like waking up in a dream and you're doing the funky chicken and you realize you're in your underwear in a group full of people that are looking at you going, wow, man, that's really good. And you're going, why am I in my underwear doing the funky chicken in the middle of a disco floor? Recent dream of mine, I'm still trying to figure that one out. Like, what the hell does this shit mean? But, sharing TMI. But to the point, though, things get showed to us in so many levels. If we start learning the simple controls, it just progresses into so many other levels. It helps us to understand so many other levels. It increases in itself, within itself, and with other people, our interaction. I just got to tell you, if for folks who just want to slough this off, man, they really missing some big stuff. Not trying to be judgmental, mind you, but if you don't pay attention to some of these things, then you're just gonna miss out. It's just part of the equation. It's not my saying, well, you just don't know any better and I'm no better than you. You just have to try it. Because I said the same flipping thing years ago. Oh, well, that talking in the positive, that's bullshit. Mm-mm. No, it ain't. So, but use my years of stupidity and take the wisdom that I bring to you and say, if you're not trying it, at least try it. And try it in different realms. And I mean with different people and different topics and different stuff. But the biggest thing is that you're learning inside to make sure that what's coming out and what's being processed is what you really mean. I can't, I'm repeating myself now. That's about the third time on that one. So I think it's time for me to wrap this up. Um, they were sort of kicking me in the shins for me to do a live stream because I was going to do a live stream with Milky Way Weekly. Brian wasn't feeling well tonight, and then we were collecting firewood and doing stuff, and took a walk down to the river and saw some of the property. Breaking Dawn saw the my fish camp down on the river for the first night this evening, and walked the property line and got to see the river and all its twisty, turny spots, and saw the damage from the Hurricane Michael last year that knocked so many trees down back in the back. I mean, there's a bunch of trees down back there. But just Spitfire. Hello, Don. Yes, I feel it made the world a better place if we made someone laugh. Yes. My granny was Southern Baptist through and through, and I can't tell you from one story from the Bible. I like your style too, Feathers. Thank you, Jess Spitfire. Can you ask them for some point blank advice for Spitfire? How I need to the point, though. Can you ask them for some point blank advice for Spitfire? How I need to the point, though. Can you be more clear, just Spitfire? I'll ask whatever's. I'm trying to go through the interpretation, but I'm not quite getting it. Ask, you know, we'll see what comes through, you know. A lot of times, you know, I got a pretty good track record, and I hate to like brag about it, but there's been too many times I'm like, ask Cal, but be frank. How you ask your spirit guides, um, the obstacle Spitfire. I was listening. I'm sorry for the blank spot, but sometimes you know, even I got to keep my mouth shut. Um, to the obstacle question, it's that the message I'm getting right now for you is that there's something simple that you will learn that you'll go, oh crap, and you'll get something. I don't know what that something is. You'll know that, they're saying. But in the obstacles, it's that sometimes the obstacles are there not as an obstacle, but a chance to make a different choice. So in your looking at the obstacle, is it an obstacle or is it a chance to every obstacle makes a decision. Do I go left or right, go over or under, around, through? You know, everything's got its own point. But to that, it's how you look at the obstacle that will make it um, an insurmountable, you know, make a mountain out of a molehill. Maybe the mountains aren't necessarily as big as you may interpret them. Um, but any obstacle that you may, when you call it an obstacle, then it becomes an obstacle. So I know that sounds a little like, you know, double talk, but it's not. It's the same thing about, you know, my talks before about thinking outside the box. I don't even think of a box anymore. There's no box. So people who keep thinking out of the box keep envisioning a box. And you got to stop that. If you're going to think out of the box, there can't be a box to think out of. It's beyond that. So let me put my glasses on and read what you wrote. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but um, can I do it at home or do I need to go away to remove myself from the situation? Oh, it does make sense. Okay. So, um, and it may be that relocating for even a short time may somehow bring a new light to the situation. I, I don't know if that makes any sense, but we'll leave it at that. Okay. Um, 64 Starlight. You know, I'm feeling that folk can disagree to disagree if they try to understand how things make others feel. I agree with that. I do. Uh, then material respect can be found. Mutual respect. Yes, absolutely. And it's all about listen. I'll listen to your point of view, please, but just be respectful. Just don't scream at me, please. That's all. You know, have a conversation. That's all. That's all I ask. Let's have a conversation versus a screaming match. And when somebody starts to get over the line, that you raise your hand and go ding, 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 sorry, but got to bring the level down. And that there's mutual respect in if somebody's starting to get out of hand, even if it's me, that you look at the other person and go, hang on, bring it down. Let's speak. You know, we're getting a little, oh, sorry about that. And have enough respect within ourselves to go, you know, I was getting a little over anxious here. I do need to calm down. You're right. So if we just understand that, listen, because I'm going to hear you better when you're not screaming at me. And other people heard me better when I wasn't screaming. So I learned this lesson. And it was a difficult one for many years for me to learn. But whether or not this waking dream thing that I had yesterday or the other day about being in this arena, and it's not the first time, but being in this arena and speaking to all these different beings from all these different galaxies and realms and places and saying, listen, we are all in the same boat with this. Now, whether it actually happened or not, it's a really good idea. And that regardless of who we are, what type of being we are, we can sit down and have a conversation. Okay, so we get a translator. But our body motions, our thought pattern, how we look at the other person, well, 64 Starlight, there are those who would disagree that we're human, that we're somehow some kind of mix. But to the point, I agree. I call those of us on planet Earth human. Just, but that's, there are those, yeah, but we're really, mixtures and stuff. Okay. And are the only species who has their DNA that's been whacked, that's been spliced at the top two. At the top, there's one share and another. We're the only species on the planet that has that. Did you know that? Ain't don't that make you special? Are we really human or not? Makes you kind of scratch your head and go, somebody tinkered with our DNA somewhere back in the past. They had to because our DNA pattern is unnatural to every other thing on this planet. We're different. We're hybrids of some sort. I don't know who made us. They ain't even going there. But somebody's tinkered with our DNA. It's obvious, you know, because of the rest of what's on this planet. Everything else has never been tinkered with. Ours has been. Just say it. What does that make us? Don't know. Just fit for my frame of mind has made it my reality. I've thought for so long it's got to change here on the home front, not only change within myself. Now I can go back to thinking I can fix it alone. Just fit fire up to a point you can, but we have to interact with other beings. So we can fix our own space, but our interaction with others, that takes more work. So, and I know you know what I mean. 65 Starlight. I mean, we are only human when it comes to getting it wrong. I meant only human when get. I got it. I got it. I got it. 65 Starlight. But I'm just saying, there are these other factors we have to like stop and go, hmm, you know, hmm, we got to think in higher realms. We really got to look at all the evidence and go, hmm, what have they done to us? And whether it was the Anunnaki or doesn't matter. It really doesn't. What matters is we look at the facts and go, somebody tinkered with us somewhere. That's all. That's the bottom line. We have to face reality with the truth. Somebody's got to be the grown up in the room and go, yeah, somebody did. It's obvious, folks. But now where do we go with here with the information? Let's be better people. Let's be better humans. Let's be better beings. Regardless of what we are, let's be better beings in the universe. Let's strive for that. But our first thing we do is make the better us we can. And our frequency means a crap load in the universe. And other beings can feel us, see us, sense us. And the better human beings we are, the better it resonates across the planet and into the universe. They're hearing it. You know, the messages are coming in, and there's like, so far, you guys need a thumbs up. Thank you. You do understand. Thank you, 65 Starlight. Yeah. So, but with that, so that's the thing. We share the understanding. Check just like that, Don. I don't even know what that means. Okay. There are some things we just have to release. That's a simple answer for a very sophisticated question. In that sometimes we have to look at certain things to go, you know what? There's nothing I can do in this situation that will help it any longer. And sometimes we have to just let go and move whatever direction our heart feels that we should go. But there are sometimes we need to do the release, and it could be anything. The release could be something small, it could be something big, but it's a release of saying, I can't. Uh, there's nothing that I can do to change this anymore, or whatever it is. It's futile to go any further in this, and so you realize I just I'm wasting any energy on this, thinking about it, worrying about it, whatever. So you have to release it, whatever it may be. You just have to. Sorry, this one just can't go any further. Now, for whatever that means, you guys interpret that for yourselves. But it is very important, and there are times we have to make those decisions, which could seem like obstacles to keep that sort of frame of mind going. In in that maybe the obstacle is that it's something that we feel that we can't release. Big or small, doesn't matter, but it may be something that we just like. And I've got certain attachments myself. Breaking Dawn will tell you the truth. I say, look, I don't know why I have this thing, but for right now, I just can't throw it away. Tomorrow, yeah, I might throw it away, and say, I don't know why I have this, but at the moment, I kept it for a reason. But now I realize, yeah, I don't need this anymore. So it's the release of the energy, the memory, the whatever it is that we think we got to keep it or do it or whatever. We just have to say, sorry, no more. You can't have my energy anymore for this, whatever it may be. And it may be something silly, it may be something complicated. So, but anyway, I digress with that. Oh, Don says, been seeing other beings walking by. Yeah, there's been some activity around here. It's full moon, boy, I'll tell you. And sometimes, and the woods are full of beings. Yes, they are. Um, Just Spitfire says, I feel like I'd be running from my problems no matter how short of time I've gone. Thank you, Just Spitfire. I'm glad it makes sense. Okay. And and some of the damnedest things will come your way that you'll say, damn, I didn't know I was going to have to like deal with this or something. Anyway, yeah, no more of that kind of, and regardless of what it might be, sometimes, and you hear me use the term be the grown up in the room. Sometimes, in learning to be a shaman, in learning to be a spiritual being, it's like, overeating or alcoholism, or there are things that we get in our life that somehow weigh us down. And it can be like me having too much crap around on this table right here that I'm going to fuss and fight about for the next day until I do a little cleaning, um, to something that may be major. But the idea is that for whatever reason we feel like we've reached a certain point that I can't deal with this anymore. I got to clean it. I got to do it. I can't handle this. We have to release it, whatever it may be. So, my friends, I love you. I do. Thank you so much. 65 Starlight, Just Spitfire, Breaking Dawn as always, and anybody else that may be hanging out in the background. We love you much. We do. And we pray for each and every one of you all the time. We send love and prayers out to the universe, and just keep working on it. Understand it is about frequency. It is about how our intent. It is very important. And when we take control of these things, it makes us better beings overall. So, my friends, I love you. And until next time, This is Hawkeye Two Feathers down here in South Georgia, and I will be. Yes, there are signs. Yeah, I got a feather today, as a matter of fact, just to show you that signs come in all shapes and flavors. But this one came as we walked to the woods today. So, you know, what you write down here? Let me put my glasses back on. Just Spitfire. Yeah, there's no order here. They just don't even see they have problems. That's very difficult to deal with. Just see mine, and they are morbidly obese, but they only see my failures and never have said, I need help like I have. And we literally can't carry it, you know? Trying to convince other people, we reach a certain point where we must take care of ourselves. We must do what's necessary for our own well being. Because how can we? I reached a certain point in my own life. If my own health was such that I couldn't help myself, then how in the hell could I help anybody else? So there was um, um, a certain point where I had to say, I love you all, but I got to look after myself first. I've got to get better. And so you've seen me over the years that I've been doing these videos and how I've sort of progressed or regressed maybe in some ways, I don't know, but hoping that I've progressed. But in that, it's that there's lessons in everything. And every day's a new day. Every day's a new book. Every day's a new experience, regardless of how old I get. But when I realize that there's a higher sense, but I still, if I'm not physically capable, if I'm not healthy enough, how in the hell can I help anybody else? I can't. So when other people drain our energies, when we try to help other people, but they just don't want it, we have to back off and say, you know, self-preservation in this instance is very important. So, but anyway, you got it, Two Feathers. Wow, you're so on point. Thank you, Just Spitfire. Yeah, thank you, thank you. Sometimes being here in the middle of the night, and maybe that's why Spirit was kicking me to do this video, because you needed to have some questions answered, Spitfire. And so that's my job in this realm, is to be available when necessary, to be able to help whatever in whatever way is possible. So magpie feathers, together, beautiful colors in them, one a bit damaged, like new. Just Fit for I told you that they had a message for me. I do the best I can. You know me well enough, Just Spitfire, that I can only speak from the heart, and I stay connected with my spirit guide, and I listen and I say, okay, what y'all want me to say to this person or to the group, because it's not just, for each of us, we've got our own place in what we need to release or do or whatever. So, but anyway, I do love you, my friends. And I'm getting hoarse and I've run out of coffee. And I really do have a butt cramp. And there's a song, the butt cramp boogie. It just seems like it needs to be done. So for those of you who were around the last time that was discussed, we had a good time with that one. But be kind, be safe, be compassionate. Always understand, be the observer, because sometimes you may be, and here might be something else, Just Spitfire. I've talked about this before, but this kind of goes along with what may be the topic right now. Sometimes you have to step back and be that observer, because you may be too involved in something and you honestly can't make the decision because you're too emotionally involved. So you have to find that place where you step back and go, let me observe both sides of this. It doesn't mean that you have to accept or reject anything, but you got to step back and be the observer, the compassionate observer. But anyway, so that maybe that'll kind of help along that too, because it's that part. All of this, everything I talk about, shamanism and training and the basics, it's all connected. And I think you all understand that. So I will close with the prayer as always. I continue to pray that each and every one of you will accept and receive the blessings, the healing, the knowledge, and the wisdom from the universe. I continue to pray that each and every one of you, your friends, your family, your relatives, and all of your relations will accept and receive the healings, the blessings, the knowledge, and the wisdom from the universe. I continue to pray that each and every one of you will continue to accept, receive, and share the knowledge, the wisdom, the compassion with your friends, your relatives, and all that you meet. And so, thank you, my friends. Yep, observers, thank you. Remove myself from this situation. Just Spitfire, at least to view the situation, at least to see it, you have to step back. Doesn't necessarily mean that you got to actually physically step back, but you have to at least emotionally and spiritually take that step back. And sometimes that means removing yourself physically from a situation so that you can put some distance in there physically. Sometimes both is necessary. But my friends, I love you, I do, and thank you for sharing what you have. Just Spitfire, I'm glad we could be here this morning to help you out. 65 Starlight as always, and anybody else hanging out in the background. Thank you, Don, for hanging out upstairs and being in the chat. And until next time, my friends, TTFN for now, my friends from South Georgia. We got a fire going in the box. It's nice and warm in the house, so y'all stay warm. Till next time, see ya.